Welcome to the channel, ladies. I'm Jamal, the women's coach. Again, my aim is always to help you understand your physiology so you can work with it and not against it, and to understand yourself a lot better. So again, today, this is the first actual video of the channel. So excited to bring it to you. Today's the first one. Now we're going to talk about your menstrual cycle and with training. And don't know if you know, you do have a superpower with your menstrual cycle when it comes to training. So if you knew that, put your hands up. But yes, we're going to align your menstrual cycle with your training, which can also help you improve results a lot quicker. But before we get started, we're going to talk about what the menstrual cycle is and everything about that. So menstruation, that comes from the Latin word, which is menis, which means month, which that is derivative from the Greek word mene, which means moon. And now people have talked about over the years how the moon and the menstruation cycle, they correlate together, how the moon plays a part in the lady's menstrual cycle. Yeah, some people say it's a theory, but there's a lot behind this. And we can go through this in another video. But again, they say it's because the lunar phase is 29.5 days, and average menstrual cycle, they class it as 28 days. But fun fact, average menstrual cycle is actually not 28 days, but it's very close to the lunar cycle, so that's where they correlate the 28 days for on a monthly cycle. So with the menstrual cycle, we have two phases. We have the follicular phase and the luteal phase, and in between that we have ovulation. So this is a 28-day cycle. So you start your period in the first 7 days, and then we go into your late follicular phase. And again, this is the low hormone phase, because the hormones are pretty low at this stage. Once you get to the second week of your follicular phase, it will start to go up. Again, this is if you're on a 20-day cycle. If you're on a 40-day cycle, or if you're on a 21-day cycle, it will be different. But once you get into the week that's just before ovulation, your hormones will start to gradually rise, and testosterone will get higher, estrogen will get higher as you come to ovulation. Once you get to ovulation, this is where you want to have a baby. The body wants to have a baby. So again, you'll be probably more willing to participate in bedroom activities, as they say. So yes, this is when you're more likely to want to have a baby at this stage. After you pass ovulation and then you get into luteal phase, this is where you get into the high hormone phase. So the high hormone phase, progesterone is higher, estrogen is higher, and then you have a lot of symptoms where some ladies have bloating, cramping, anxiety, all these types of symptoms happen because of the high hormone phase and how the hormones interacting with each other. So again, you'll break these down into, say, 4 phases if you're in a 20-day cycle. You have your week 1, week 2, your week 3, week 4, and then so on if you're on a 21-day cycle or 40-day cycle. Again, this is why it's important to understand your cycle for your training, as well as many other things as well. Again, you have it through puberty from when you're young. Some ladies get it as young as 8, and you go all the way until menopause, the new stage of life, as we call it, the new stage of life. So again, with the menstrual cycle, 28 days is again not the average. Some ladies have a cycle that's 21 days. Some ladies have a cycle that's up to 40 days. Even some that's slightly a few days beyond that. So the menstrual cycle can last from 21 to 40 days. We correlate the menstrual cycle with the seasons. So menstruation is winter. So think of it as leaves dropping down. Menstruation, not feeling as great, but this is where the line is shedded. Now we move on to the follicular phase, and that is correlated with spring. Now you've got a spring in your step, you're boosted, you're feeling great, you're doing all this. This is a time where you're on top of the world. Hormones are rising, estrogen is rising, testosterone is rising towards the end of this. So you've got that boost in your step, you're feeling creative, a lot more things are happening. So this is that the spring season. Now we have summer. Summer season is ovulation, where you're blossoming, glowing. Again, I think about this time when trying to get pregnant. And then the luteal phase, they correlate that with autumn, and you have less energy, you're feeling a bit more sensitive and more critical at this time of the month. So this is where they correlate this with autumn. This is why it's important to track your menstrual cycle. So also we know your follicular phase. Again, your luteal phase is usually 2 weeks. If it's low as 8 days, it's good to get checked out because there could be another issue going on. But it's very important to understand where your follicular phase is and where you are in the cycle, and this will correlate also to your training. So you want a period chart, so you can chart down your cycle to see where your follicular phase is and when ovulation starts, and then into your luteal phase. You can get an ovulation predictor kit to do that as well. So it's really important to understand where you are in your cycle, so also this can help with your training, so you know what part you're at. So always track your cycle. So now getting into training. So ladies with a 21-day to 25-day cycle, your follicular phase will be quite short. It may be 8 days or so. Again, like I said, always track it to know where you're at. So with this phase, first follicular phase, focus on that HIIT training, that VO2 training, with heavy weights, low reps, high weight. You can really go for it at this phase of your cycle. Then when we come into week 2, we'll transition into your luteal phase. So then this is the up, steady tempo kind of training. Do some plyometric work again, just to keep that neuromuscular response going on. Also, you can go into the weights where you'll start a bit heavier and you'll drop the weights down. You're going to this descending phase of the weight. So you'll go start heavy, go light, which will also mean you're working under fatigue, but you're keeping good form. So again, that's a good place to start as well. This is at start, going towards the end of your follicular phase, start of your luteal phase, which will be roughly the week 2. When we're going into week 3 now, you're fully in your luteal phase. So again, you may be towards the PMS stage. This part of your cycle, you'll be working more on skill-based movement, functional movement. So again, hand-eye coordination, it can be technique work in the gym, where you're still learning. You don't have to lift the heavy weight, because at this part of your phase, you're less energetic, you have less energy, recovery is not that great at this part of your phase. That's where you're working more on your skill-based stuff, your functional movement techniques at this part of your cycle. Now, once you get into week 4, it's where we're coming back into your follicular phase. So now this is where you'll do top end stuff. So if you're into running, you hit the 5Ks there, and then you can lift the heavy weights again. But then you'll do more top end interval. This will be more moderate to high intensity work, whereas that first follicular phase was high intensity. So for the ladies that's on the 40-day cycle, this is one for you. You have a lot more to play with. You have a lot more high intensity work that you can push out, so you can use this to your advantage. So again, first 2 weeks or so, you can have that HIIT training, that high intensity, pushing it, the VO2 stuff if you're into doing the sport training. Also the heavyweights, low reps, you can push yourself. And we're getting into week 3, week 4. This is where you'll be doing, again, up tempos, the long interval stuff. You can add that in. Again, EMONs every minute on the minute, which again, heavyweights as well. So that'll be amazing for you. Again, still hitting that neuromuscular response with firing, we're getting the strength work going up, and that's from week 3 to week 4. Again, once we get into the end of week 4, going into week 5, this is where your steady state, again, moderate tempo work will come into it. You can still hit a bit of the heavy weights, but again, it will be dropping down, so descending weights. So you'll be going heavy weights, dropping it down to descending weight, where you're still working on fatigue once you get towards the lightweight. And then as always on the last week, working on the skill-based stuff, skill-based functional movement, working on technique. Again, this is usually around the PMS stage, so just working that, just keeping your movement up, keeping your technique up with the gym work. 28-day cycle, pretty simple with it. You have the 2 weeks at the start with your follicular phase, menstruation and follicular phase, then you have the 2 weeks straight after, which will be your luteal phase. Same thing applies, the HIIT training, the heavy work, the VO2 stuff. You can do that in your weeks, and then you can have your EMONs, your long interval training as well, so long steady stuff if you're going to go on 5K runs, if you're going to go push off for that kind of things as well. Because always remember as well, once you get into the phase where you're going towards ovulation, a couple of days before that, that's where your testosterone is at its highest. So a lot of ladies at this part of their cycle will be hitting PBs. And then once you get into the luteal phase, same thing applies. The first week of the luteal phase, steady state, you can still do some weight, do the descending weight workout where heavy weight dropping down to lighter weight, and then also you got the skill-based stuff, the functional movement technique in the 4th week. Hit the like button if you learned something new, so we can help more ladies understand their physiology and even work with their menstrual cycle with their training to improve their results. Smash the subscribe button, because there will be more videos coming up to help you understand your physiology, work with it and not against it. We're going to change the game on women's health and make it more accessible to ladies to understand your cycle. So ladies, I'll see you in the next video. Take care.